Hey, my name is Jace Milstead. I am one of the Pale Army from Southern California. I'm also a certified cicerone, and I'm here to talk to you about a couple of very important things when it comes to how to taste beer, how to drink beer, and how to savor beer. First, we're going to start with one of our newest things here at the tap room in Buellton and in Paso Robles. What we've got here is our nucleated pint glasses. This is a 10-ounce version of it, and what these actually do for you is help you pour the perfect pint. It's got a couple interesting features. Obviously, you've got the Firestone logo on the front, new and improved, and hopefully you guys will dig that. And then inside, I don't know if you can get a shot of this or not, young Tim, but this is the nucleation point. And what this does, this allows for greater head retention on the beer. Head is very important on a beer because not only is it a beautiful thing, but it allows us to concentrate the aromas a little bit better. We'll talk about how that's important as now we're going to pour a beer. Hey now, we're back, me and young Scorsese here behind the camera, and we're talking about draft beer. How to pour it and why it's so amazingly delicious. And then, get ready kids, we're going to taste some beer. Not kids, of course, we don't want kids tasting beer, but those of you I'm referring to as kids are all, of course, over 21. I want to make that very clear in case there are any sort of enforcement officers watching right now. So we're going to taste on draft beer. Very important, and I want to show you what the final product looks like in case I get it wrong when I do it here in a second. But this is basically it. This is a Union Jack, and it's going to come into play very soon. This is obviously a nice collar of head right here, and just a beautiful beer. What we're going to do now is show you how to pour that, using, of course, the nucleated Firestone half pints here. Important thing is take your glass first, and then you're going to put it at a 45-degree angle under the tap. Now, as you pour along, you'll see some people in businesses, they'll actually keep the tap here, the faucet, actually go into the liquid of the beer. It's considered a bad practice. It's not very sanitary, and it just doesn't look good for the customer. So keep that in mind when you're pouring it home for friends and neighbors. And also the important thing is when you pull on the handle, you want to make sure you pull all the way back. That's going to keep the beer from excessively foaming on you. As you go up to about 2/3, tilt the glass all the way up, and viola, you've got yourself a lovely glass of beer with an amazing head on top. Now the head is important on a beer for a couple of reasons. Obviously, it looks great, and secondly, the importance of it is that it's actually beer. About 25% of the foam is beer. So if you give too much foam, you're essentially wasting beer and you're making the customer angry, not to mention yourself. But also the foam is important because it smells damn good. When you take it as a beer, one of the first things you want to do is take an aroma smell. It's amazing. Nice short bursts through the nose, and you really start to get an idea of what that beer is going to taste like. But it's not time to taste yet. One of the next things you want to do is hold that beer up to the light. Get an idea of what the color is of the beer. Color is very important. It's not only important for perception, but it's also an indicator of the kinds of flavors you're going to get from the beer. The reason I brought up the Union Jack earlier is an important comparison that has to do with the color of the beer. When you look at these two beers next to each other, one looks a little different than the other. Obviously, this one's a lot darker. A lot of people, when they first get into beer, they taste beer, the impression is that the darker beer is going to be the heavier beer, the more alcoholic beer. However, you might be surprised to know that between the two of these, the Walker's Reserve is actually a 5.9% porter versus the Union Jack being a 7.5% IPA. So if you went at the two of these blindly drinking, thinking this one's not going to get you near as drunk, you're probably going to find you on the side of a building somewhere with your pants around your ankles. I'm not saying that's definitely going to happen, but it's like a good 60-70% chance that might happen. So always keep in mind the color of the beer, also because of flavor. Yes, when people taste these beers, sometimes they do mean it is heavier, but not necessarily in the alcohol. What they probably mean is the flavors are more vibrant. Not necessarily vibrant like a hop would be vibrant, but what you're going to get is more sort of earthy notes, typically from a darker beer. And this is our Walker's Reserve. What you're going to taste with this beer are nice coffee, toffee, roasted notes. And actually what that's coming from is really the color. What you're taking is the barley, which is used to give the beer its sugars, which are eaten by the yeast, is roasted. And when you roast that barley, it becomes darker, and it gives it qualities of the coffee, toffee, things like that. The best way to look at it is like toast. If you take your barley and you put it in a toaster for a little while, you're going to get something of this color, a nice amber color, nice toasty notes, maybe a little bit of caramel. But as you go through the cycle of your toaster, what you're really going to get to at the end of the spectrum is going to be a little bit darker, more burning, toasted, roasty notes, almost like a coffee would be. So with the Walker Reserve, 5.9% porter, great flavors of that note. And then our Union Jack, 7.5% beer. It's an IPA, standing for India Pale Ale. And that style is very famous from the 1800s. This beer basically was to ship across from England, where the Pale Ale was originated, all the way to India, thus the India part of the Pale Ale. It's not created in India, but it's created for India. Hops actually have a nice preservative quality to them, and what they would do is take their Pale Ale, add extra hops to it, and then the journey from England to India, the beer would be preserved for longer. The importance of India Pale Ale is that you get a little higher alcohol as well. The alcohol, again, acts as another preservative. So basically, an India Pale Ale, in short form, is a highly alcoholic and more hoppy Pale Ale. I'm going to drink these both side by side, and I hope you guys have a lovely day. Thanks for playing. Delicious. Also delicious.